I got a little surprise. I got a surprise. And this surprise, if you can guess the surprise, type it in the chat. Just put something in that chat if you think you know what it is. And it's in this packet here. So can you tell me what's in this packet? Can somebody tell me what's in this package here? This thing that's been so long awaited. All right, and it is finally here. Have you given up yet? Okay, no, I'll have mercy, okay? And I'll just introduce my little surprise. But how about this? Folks, it is here. It's in my hand. It's in my hand. I'm talking about over 15 years. And it's finally here. When fun is not funny. I'm sure some of y'all might have seen this on my other podcasts on the screen, but it wasn't on my hand. It smells so good. I can smell the freshness. Thank God it's here. And you know, I'm torn in me saying it's a book, but I'm saying this is it's a weapon. It's a protection weapon, right? That needs to be in the hands of every teenager.
And now, this video is coming to you from The Next Level with Keith. Okay, that was just me being a bit dramatic there. But seriously, this video is coming to you from The Next Level with Keith. And you can also find me on my weekly podcast. And that is podcast.keithmerritt.com. So type in your browser, podcast.keithmerritt.com. Now, clearly, you've seen an empty space and nothing's going on, correct? But I want you to be patient. And I want you to watch this video in its entirety. And I believe you're going to be blown away. All right? Now, what you will be seeing in this video are just my hands and some products and my over 15 years of dealing with this thing we call hypertension. Now, I don't know if you know or not, but in our Black community, it's at an all-time high. All right? And I believe it's unaliving too many of our Black brothers and sisters, along with strokes and so many other ailments, undesirable ailments. And yes, there have been many approaches that people take, and many have had success. And if you are having success, keep it going, all right? But there are folks who are searching, still searching, and they're now on the famous medication. One of the first thing that we're told, or we go to in our culture here, especially here in the United States, all right, the pharmaceutical companies are making billions of medications, all right? Now, I'm not saying it doesn't have their place. I'm not saying it doesn't help, but it has not worked for me. And so let me let you know my journey, and hopefully it'll inspire somebody. Maybe you can find some help in this approach, all right? Because sometimes in this life, there are many different approaches to fix the same problem. You just got to find it and be willing to not quit and keep on going. And that is exactly what I did. So as you can see, medication didn't help me at all. And to take it back 15 years, I would say over 15 years ago, when I started having these terrible headaches. And one time I remember on the job, I had a headache that was so intense. I mean, it felt like my head was going to explode. That's how bad it got. Didn't know why. Didn't know why. Anyway, they told me to sign out and go home. So I did sign out and went straight to the hospital. And that's when they discovered that I have high blood pressure, which is the same thing for hypertension. And if you don't know what that is, please, there are so many resources out there, you know, YouTube and all over. All right, so you can know how it is. It's called the silent killer because many people end up with strokes, and some die. In fact, my father died from a heart attack. All right. The point is that not having good, healthy blood pressure is really dangerous. All right. And hopefully this video can be one of many sources that can help to get you on the journey where you won't need your meds anymore. All right. So getting back to my story, started off with a water pill. That didn't work. And they bumped it up to like 5 milligram. I think it was amlodipine benazepril. That's what it is. Amlodipine benazepril. And there's several different ones they have, and they all have side effects. And the effects I had with this one was, well, for one, I did feel sometimes my heart was palpitating sometimes, like beating weird. I also had very dry mouth. My eyes felt like it was, really like my eyesight was being affected. I can't tell for sure if it was age or that was it, but I noticed that there was a difference there. Also, I find that, when I started taking this thing, I was mad at the time, and it looks like my potency was affected because my wife at the time said, "Hey, what's going on?" And I'm like, I'm not cheating like that. I'm not getting around. And lo and behold, come to find out it was the medication. Sometimes the way they're made and the coding, those different things. But one thing we know for sure, it does not cure the issue. All right. And we want the cure, right? It only treats symptoms, but then it gets worse. But then it got to 10 milligram. That worked for a while, seemingly, and then it stopped working. I went back, and then they bumped it up from 510, and then that worked for a while, and then went to 520. This is over several years now. So you notice the dosage is increasing, right? But the problem stays the same. And I remember the last number of years, I would wake up having these very horrible coughs, dry cough. And it's like my whole gut was coming out. Really horrible. And I know it was attributed to the medication. So it was 2 years ago, maybe a little over 2 years ago, when I went to the doctor and for my yearly checkup, and they looked at that area, hypertension, and say, well, based on what we think and what they're seeing, they want to give me a even higher dosage. This was not going to be I think 1020 or 520, something like that. And I'm like, no. In my mind, I'm saying no, I don't want to go there. But anyway, I told the doctor, please, can you just give me one size down, and let's take it down a notch, and let's see if we can find some other means and ways. And so that's where my journey started, with trying alternatives. All right. And so I started off, understanding that you want to exercise. I started doing that, exercising more, and I changed my diet a little bit. I cut the salt totally out of my diet, pretty much, except for when you have it where maybe in drinks or maybe in certain foods. So I would watch my diet, everything I buy, I would look at the salt content and try to go as low as possible. That's sodium. And that didn't work. All right. And so I said, let me try some other natural things. And I tried this brand here. It was actually a company I was with. And if you can see it, the company I was with. And when I tried it, my skin itched like never, ever before. I scratched, I itched. I mean, I think there wasn't a part of my body I didn't scratch. Don't know what it was. I don't know if it's where it was made or something was in there that didn't agree with me, but no, it didn't work. So, of course, I kept it as, as just a history, because sometimes it's good to have proof. There's an old saying, documentation beats conversation. So I'm not coming to you with any hype, but real results. So I said, you know what, that didn't work. So let me explore some other options. And I tried this thing. It's called nitric oxide. Nitric oxide. You can see. And nitric oxide is said it's a very important product because, as we get older, we lose that nitric oxide in our body that comes from vegetables and certain fruits. And so the veins that the blood run through, it gets hardened and it's not as lucid and, and soft and so the blood flow doesn't get through there as it should. I tried it for maybe 3 months. Nothing changed. All right. And so I said, let me try something else. So I tried this right here also with a cleanser. Because sometimes, when you take stuff, you want to clean your system out. And hopefully, that would help to let whatever you put in your body work better. All right. Anyway, I tried this. This is a detox. And this is the actual, it's called glucobio. Now, mind you, I'm not saying that these products don't work for other people. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that didn't work for me. So if you try these and it works for you, keep doing it. Hey, more power to you. This didn't work, and I tried it for about 3-4 months. You see, one of the reasons why I mentioned 3-4 months, sometimes even more, is because most people who talk about these products, especially those who give testimonials, they're saying like the first week. They're saying like the first 2 weeks. Some the first month. That's the most I've heard as far as them getting the results that they wanted. So I'm like, let me go further, do it 3, 4, 5 months, sometimes even 6 months to make sure that is it working or not. Anyway, I've learned about something called CMOS Advanced and saw it online. Maybe you have yourself. And CMOS, I tried CMOS and did it for, I think 3 months again, 3-4 months. Didn't see a difference, didn't feel a difference. Coughing persisted and other things, persisted. And so I said, you know what, let me just try something else. See, I'm a fighter. And the same way I have tried online businesses for over the past 20 years, I just never stopped. I kept on going, because I know that someday I'm going to find the right one that works for me. Anyway, my journey doesn't stop there. I'm a fighter and I keep going. So I said, let me give this a try. Let me give this thing called beetroots. It's called beets, right? And it also has nitric oxide involved. See how big that thing is right there? And I tried it for a while. I think I have maybe 4 or 5 containers, because one lasts for the month. And I tried different flavors. Didn't necessarily like the flavor. It was a bit grainy and, not as nice with the taste. But I figured, well, you know what? I'm trying to get rid of this hypertension. I'll do whatever it takes. I don't worry about taste. Tried it for a while, and it did not do the job. It did not do the job. But I keep going. I heard something about these things called oregano, oil of oregano, and I hear it's good for the body, and black seed. Some folks said they've tried it and it works for that as well. It helps to relieve their hypertension. How it does, I don't know, but that's what the claims some say it is. Anyway, tried it for a while. I think it's good to take anyway, just to have, I think it's good for like parasites and that kind of thing, and have to get your body, in a better shape. And I've benefited from this product, but did not touch the hypertension in any way, shape, or form, as far as my understanding. All right, so now, like I say, I don't quit. So I'm trying this thing. It's called cayenne peppers, right? From Val's Off, right? Pretty cute product. It's like a drop. You put it, in your mouth, a few drops, and tried it for a while. And so far, I don't notice any difference. I don't see where it has dropped. Now, so far, this is over the last, 2 years. And so the last year, I keep going to have my pressure checked. And I'm hearing numbers like 150 over 100, 140 over 95, 150 over 110, 150 over 105. Those high numbers, alarming numbers. And like I said, hypertension is known to be a silent killer. So even sometimes when you don't feel like you have any headaches or nothing unusual is happening, it is still very dangerous. And the thing about hypertension that's crazy, it affects the entire body. It affects your eyes. It affects your lungs, your liver. It affects everything. Because when blood is racing through your body in a way that's not homeostasis, it's not normal, that 120 over 80, believe me, you're at risk for a lot of things. And I've seen people my age and younger having strokes. Scary. And I'm like, you know what? I have things to do. I have places to go. I have people to see. And I want to live healthy. I want to get married again. So funny. But the point is that I want to be healthy and be my best self. Not just spiritually, mentally, or emotionally, but also physically. And so I said, this didn't work. And also, I looked at something called magnesium complex. I mean, there's something to be said about magnesium as you get older. And why is magnesium complex? Is because it has the different magnesium that the body needs in one. All right. So I'm going for the gusto. I'm going for like the bullseye, not just one. Okay, you can take one, but you need this, but you need that for this. But the complex is like the 4, 5, or 6 different magnesium that you need in your body. All right. I try this, and again, I'm not seeing the result that I'm looking for. But this next product that you're about to see, drum roll. This next product, I practically purchased it almost by accident. All right. I was a part of this company, and to be honest with you, I had to do a monthly purchase. All right. A monthly membership for a particular thing. And I could either buy a product, right, that of the same cost opposed to the service. So I said, being that I was looking to try this product, not necessarily at that point, I was just looking to make sure I had my payment going, because my card got compromised, and when I changed it, I didn't update the card in the system. So I'm there almost losing my account, almost lost my account, not knowing that payment wasn't going through. So I was trying to make sure I made a purchase or did something to keep my account active and alive. And so when I went on the site to make a purchase, I figured, well, this is comparable as far as the price with my regular monthly service. So I was saying, let me just try it. And that's when I got that product. Like I said, I was going to buy it sometime in the future, but not right there and then. But I ended up purchasing this product. And when I did, to my surprise, 2 weeks later, I checked my blood pressure. I'm talking numbers I'm not seeing in years. I'm talking 130, 120 over 80. I know it wasn't luck, but this product here, when I heard demonstration of it, and you can find it on my podcast, right? I mentioned to you earlier, you can check out my hubs, and you can find this product in the Passive Income Hub. All right. You might also find it in the Family Protection Hub. Yeah, I think I have it in both places because, protecting the family is not just one dimension. All right. I have things that can protect a family legally. You want to check that out. But this right here, I would say protecting your family health-wise. because who wants to lose a dad or a husband or a spouse or a wife prematurely, or a son or a dad or mom? Who wants to lose them prematurely because of hypertension? So we protect our health, and believe me, I say you can keep your money, you can keep your wealth, keep your fancy cars and your houses, but give me my health, because my health is my wealth. So I am super excited that I can give you this testimony. Hope I didn't bore you. Hope that you thought that this was meaningful to you. And like I said, if you have something that works for you, by all means, continue. But if you are looking for something, you've tried some of these already, and it's not working, and you're clear on that, you're still taking your medication, maybe you want to explore this product here. And let me show you up close. Daily Greens and Reds. All right? Daily Greens and Reds. Powerful product. Powerful product. I'm so happy. I'm so impressed. And I say, if this company was only selling that product alone, they could still be a billionaire company. Because when you can solve an issue like hypertension, you really solving a major issue. All right? So yes, medication, thank God for doctors and what they do. Thank God for doctors and medication. But I don't think it's designed to cure the problem. And what we want to do is to solve the problem. So I'm here, and I'm looking forward to share it, not just locally or nationally, but also internationally, because I think so many people are looking for something like this. I played at an event recently. I do my horn, and I asked about anyone in the family who has hypertension, and two black gentlemen, a little older than me, said the same thing almost within unison. Which black person doesn't deal with hypertension? So that's what they said to me. Which black person you know that doesn't deal with hypertension? They were saying that it's that bad. So like I said, too many of us are having premature deaths and illnesses that's not needed, and I believe can be cured. Anyway, thanks for your time, and I look forward to sharing more with you. Like I say, you can check out my podcast. That's podcast.keithmerritt.com, and see all that I share. It's not just on health or other things, but this right here is something that I feel is like needed like yesterday. So thanks for your time, and you take care of yourself, take care of your health, and live long, healthy, and prosperous. And God bless you.
That's the way to go. Stack and grow. And if I could even parallel this story that I share with you in the video, um, with my years, my over 15 years dealing with hypertension, if I could parallel that story, how I actually didn't give up. But when I started my journey, you know, I didn't know where it was going to lead. I was hoping for a result on the first try, like most of us do, right? We want to see things happen right away. And most of us don't want to wait too long, and that's the fact. We want to have quick results. And of course, we're in a microwave age anyway. So, as I mentioned, as I started, you see how many products I've tried and used. Now, these products, they took time to consider. I didn't always rush. I would see this maybe 4, 5, 6 times before I said, let me try it. I, sometimes would do a little research myself before I even purchase a product. I would get some, some we call it reviews on the product, and some feedbacks as far as what people are saying. And my faith got a little built up. So I said, I'm gonna try. I try this one. I try that one. I try the other one. And it was, of course, over time, but it again was stacking. You see, I was stacking. I didn't stop. I didn't stop. I didn't stop. And so is it with my approach in business. in online business. And you might have heard me talk about my over 20 years of exploring the online world. All right. Trying to find that alternative, that added income, that extra income that so many talk about and dream about. Right. Now, I'm not saying I want to be a millionaire or a billionaire. That's not the goal. But my goodness, who want to be tied to a job for 30, 40 years if you don't have to? All right. And you can get the kind of funds to do extra things and to even help your favorite charity and whatever one you want to do with your stuff. But again, not having the guidance, not having the understanding, being a bit scattered, right? Not as focused, or worse, not having a strategy. If you hear me talk about coaching on this podcast, if you hear me talk about mentorship, I'm telling you, it is the root, it is the groundwork, it's the key, one of the major keys. And you know what I found out? A lot of folks that we see on TV, online, who are successful or seemingly successful, they have coaches. They may not tell you who they are. They don't need to tell you who they are. Some do, but these people have coaches that keeps them in line, keeps them in check. All right, because that's a very fundamental thing, having a coach. And so, therefore, looking at stacking and growing, I did show a health perspective, all right, on that. But you think about staying power, all right, patience. So a lot of you might have said, you know what, I've done it, I've tried it long enough, and I don't think it is possible. Now I'm going to be honest with you, and I'm going to be very transparent with you. On the last podcast, when I read my comments, I almost cried. I really did. I felt so moved when I heard a comment that says, you know what, that was me. I really was at a place where it's like, yeah, it was no more. I was done. I'm paraphrasing, but you could hear that in the message, that I do concur with you. I've had those never again moments. I've had those moments, and many of us do. And to see how this podcast here affected that person. I always say, not always about the millions that happen that makes you say, wow, I'm no star. No, those people that you touch and you don't know where they are, what country they're from, and they're watching, and they say, you know what, this could be my new day. This could be my moment, because they probably never heard something like this in this manner. Because the one thing I try to do is to be vulnerable if I can. And I can tell you, there was a time when I saw people as just a number. I've been there. I was only trying to get my authorship, my monthly commitment taken care of. And I was just a mad hunter trying to what? Get the next person to join. Didn't understand what they were about. Didn't get to know what they wanted. Didn't get to see how, they may have had, some terrible history, didn't see their trauma. Didn't understand that. So I was just trying to hit anything that I could see move. And that wasn't the approach. All right. So yeah, I can be real, I can be honest about that. But I've grown past that. All right. And so I learned to not only be authentic, right? But also knowing that I'm not for the ones who are just here, or here to get a buzz, to get some kind of a high. Because the culture that we live in, and you wonder why things like TikTok and some of these platforms do so well, because it's like almost like a high. You're scrolling all day for that high, the next thing, the next thing. And when you're scrolling for 2 or 3 hours, what have you accomplished? What have you changed about your understanding, your thinking, your rethinking? What happened when you scroll for hours and end? You have couples in their beds with phones and they're both on the line scrolling away and not even talking to each other. All right. They've lost the humanity. They've lost the touch, the human touch. And what this is about the human touch. And, you know, you think about living with hypertension for years, as I mentioned in the video, you know, and tried so many different things, and heard the same thing over and over again. You go to the doctor said to you, you know what? You're going to have to live with this for the rest of your life. Sorry. I too take meds. I'm on my meds every day. I said, I'm not buying that. I'm rethinking here. All right. I'm stacking. I'm growing. I'm stacking. I believe it's possible. Other people do it. Why can't I? And so the reality is that I'm very happy that, you know, when someone can say, you know what, I heard you, I hear you, I connect with you, and that's the beauty. That's the beauty. You know, instead of giving up, instead of giving up, you're seeing me show you distinctively what I've done, and it was hard, it was grueling, it's painful. All right, not giving up is a major part of winning. Just not giving up. A lot of you right now, you're saying, you know, I would love to help my mom get maybe a better place. Maybe I'd like to send my mom on a vacation. Some of you have houses that you bought and don't even live in there. You're working 2, 3 jobs. A lot of you, you know, you reached 60 or 70 and said, "Man, I could have, would have done that." See, when I share with you my 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 story, this is not just for hype. I don't know whether this book will sell millions or not, but I feel that I have set out something that was in my heart, and to see it come to a point of fruition, right? And I hold it in my hands. This to me, it means more than words can say, because I'm saying to my kids, my daughter, my 2 daughters, and my son, that if dad can do this, so can you, and much greater. So, stacking and growing, it's a process. It's a process. And maybe you have paused for 5 years. Guess what? Start restacking again. It's not over. All right. You might have been paused for 10 years. Start stacking again. All right. And this video could be that pivotal moment. All right. That thing that you probably needed to hear. Say, you know what? I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this. And that's the beauty about this. Now, when it comes to stacking and growing, there are 3 things I wanted to consider. 3 things I wanted to consider. The first one is this: health is foundational capital. All right. I'm still kind of paralleling my story with stack and growing. All right. So the story that I gave you, I was trying to show some points in that. And one point is this: health is foundational capital. Because guess what happened? You can have all the money that you can garner, right? But if you don't have your health, I know folks right now who would trade anything they could trade for health. The other thing that I want to talk about is persistence compounds. So while you remain constant and persistent, things happen in that builds you and builds and builds, right? And so it builds to where you get to that place where you need to be. So persistency, that means you're still in the game. Sometimes you may be beaten down, battered down. You may go to some embarrassing moments. Folks may say bad things about you and all that good stuff, all that fancy stuff, as some would say. But you're compounding, and you're more, I would say, fine tuning your resolve that, you know what, I'm going to do this. And the third thing that you want to look at, and progress sometimes shows up after years of consistency. So the progress sometimes that you seek shows up years after. And that's my story. All right. So as long as there's life, there's breath. All right. Believe me, there is that potential for a story of glory. See, I'm rhyming all day because I guess that's the songwriter in me. I guess the songwriter in me, I'm rhyming sometimes, or the poet in me. Yeah. But but stacking small, right? Informed steps over time can still lead to breakthroughs, right? Many times when you're stacking, it's almost like breakdowns when it doesn't take place the way you desire it or you think it's gonna happen. It's like a breakdown, but guess what happened? You get your breakthroughs. All right. And so I'm excited. I'm excited about this. And before I go to my next segment, I'm going to also have a moment for partners.
This moment is for builders, visionaries, and brands with purpose. If you want access, alignment, and momentum, not just motivation, this is your step forward. Join the next level with Keith channel members. Whether you're a freedom chaser, freedom supporter, next level insider, or next level builder, this is where growth gets structure and community becomes currency. And for partners with a mission, we don't just promote brands. We position purpose. Bring your cause, your company, your message, and let's amplify it with intention and impact. Membership opens the door. Partnership expands the reach.
Strong organizations are built on more than strategy. They're built on people. At Human Impact Development Consulting, we help organizations strengthen leadership and support staff well-being. We put clear people systems in place that actually work. From HR advisory and policy development to leadership support, we cover it all. Our approach is practical, ethical, and people-centered. If ready for clarity, confidence, and sustainable impact, visit sandrinedunkley.com. Human Impact Development Consulting, where people systems meet performance.
Yes, and yet there's another one that I wanted to check out. This is GFIH Ministries. I wanted to look at this one here, powerful again, on the ground, on the boots, GFIH Ministries.
Gospel Foundation International Healing Ministries is a Bible-based ministry. Through worship, prayer, and deliverance, we help individuals find restoration. We equip believers to build stronger families and healthier communities. Footprints of Faith Radio shares real stories of healing and hope. Bible Talk for Children helps kids develop strong moral foundations. Apply for sponsored digital advancement support for growing your reach. Your support makes this possible. We're aiming for a $500 monthly goal. Support, partner, or give today at gfihministries.org/give.
If today's episode spoke to you, it's because you're ready. Ready for your money to work for you. Ready for practical steps, not just motivation. Ready for faith-led financial freedom. Ready to build stability, peace, and confidence for your family. You're not alone on this journey. The Next Level isn't just a podcast. It's a movement toward freedom, one episode at a time. Stay connected. Listen anytime at podcast.keithmerritt.com. Explore the Next Level Movement Hub. Subscribe on YouTube at Keith Merritt. Like, share, comment. Your engagement helps this message reach more families. Take your next step. Visit keithmerritt.com/impact/the next level. Subscribe for the latest blog from the Freedom Resource Hub and join the Next Level Resource Network. Choose the hub that fits your journey: music and speaking, family protection, digital learning, passive income, or Keith's book and reading hub. Press play. Take action. Your next level is calling.